Click, buy, deliver. With remote purchasing from the 2-time Motorcycle News Dealer of the Year, Colchester Kawasaki. Proud sponsors of Chasin the Racin.
3, 2, 1, and welcome back to Chasin the Racin, episode 95. And for the first time ever on Chasin the Racin, we're joined by a speedway rider, Aaron Summers. Welcome to the podcast. How are you doing?
Cheers, thanks. Yeah, great, guys.
It was a bit of a stroke of luck actually, because you're not too far up in is it Northumberland area that you live?
Have you actually ever been to Wooler?
I might have passed it. I'm not sure. Is it far off the motorway?
I tell you what, it's not far off bloody Scotland.
Yeah.
It's just far over the border, isn't it?
It's literally, I'm 5 miles from the border. So
cool. Well, for those people that will be watching or listening that are like speedway experts, some of the questions me and Dom ask might be
No. Every question
might be a bit basic, because to be honest, I've been down. I went down to Stoke, I think it was, to watch a speedway, and I've seen a few bits and bobs, but I'm no expert, so some of the questions might be a bit basic. But it's really good for you to join us. And we actually met about 4 or 5 years ago down at I was telling Dom earlier, down at the M Sport factory over in Cockermouth, Cumbria. And M Sport is it's like the Ford rally team in it, and they do Bentleys and all kinds. It was an unreal factory, wasn't it?
Cool.
I think that's the best like facility I've been to in terms of racing. It was unreal.
So why did you two meet up in a Cockermouth? Randomest word for a place ever.
So obviously, motorsport and stuff, we get NGK spark plugs and stuff, and their sponsors are Chrissy and as well as me and the local rep pool just along the road. That's how we got in contact through that, sponsors can make you meet some really good people as well, and that's how me and Chrissy met. And like you said, the NGK day, it was at the M Sport factory, and obviously you get talking, spend the whole day around.
We'll go out in the I can't actually remember the guy's name who was the rally car driver, but he was like a world
he'd be glued to this episode going, we're going to get name dropped.
Someone Evans, isn't it?
He's like I think he was a world-class driver anyway, and he took us out in the woods, and like, do you know when you I'm not the best
in the woods in Cockermouth. Oh, this is seeding up rightly.
I'm not the best backseat passenger, but do you know when you're like coming towards a corner and you're kind of thinking, right, you're going to start brake, and then it's seriously impressive. Like, but that's again, it's another sort of type of motorsport that if you're not into it, you don't really get an appreciation for it until you're there and doing it. But I tell you what, obviously you haven't got a sort of Northumberland accent, so we'll start with obviously you're Australian, innit? Yeah. Whereabouts in Australia are you from?
Adelaide.
And
that's Dave O'Johnson country. Sorry, he's probably someone have you heard of Dave O'Johnson? No. Oh, he's from Adelaide. He's a nutter and all. So are you a bit of a party animal?
Not really,
He glazed over there, Chris. He's like that. My wife would be listening to this. I'll just wind me neck in.
No, not really. Obviously, when you're racing so much, you're training, your fitness and stuff is. Back in the days, it used to be a little bit, you could party and stuff, but now it's more about fitness and things. I think a lot of motorsports are going that way. It's down to fitness ability as well, which helps you a lot with your performance.
Was it a case of, did you make it pro and speedway in Australia and then come over, or was it did you become pro over here?
So they have sometimes clubs have scout people that go and live Aussie in the summertime and scout riders out for them. And then I was scouted from a team in Edinburgh. They invited me over. So 2008, I think it was my first year I come across for 2 months. And they, I come across for that. Done the 2 months. I actually ended up riding in the bottom division of the speedway for the 2 months while I was here. So there was a team that needed a rider in. And then the following year, I come across full time.
Bloody hell, that's a huge life decision on a change. But even before we go down the realms of which teams you've jumped on and off and everything like that, how did you get into motorsport to begin with?
So my dad, he used to race scrambling racing and trials as well. So it's always, even his dad was into the racing, so that was always part of the family thing. So pretty much since I could walk, I've ridden a bike, and it got to a point of when the next size bike was to come on, it was, did I want to go to motocross or did I want to do speedway? The family couldn't afford to do both.
What age were you at this point then?
6, I think it was then.
6, all right. So you had this opportunity. So can you remember the 6-year-old self going, I don't really want to do this or that? What?
No, kind of, it's one of them things you got to look at how, motocross, how much harder it was to make it to the top and that. or speedway, is obviously motocross is massive. People from all over the world. I mean, it's the same as speedway, but it's not quite as big. So yeah, I see more of an opportunity in speedway and just took it from there.
Is speedway pretty big over in Australia?
Yeah, it's reasonably big. You don't make money out of it. Obviously, that's why a lot of the Aussies come across here and try and make a go of it. You have to pay entries and things like that, and the prize money doesn't even really cover your night, so you're paying for it. But
brilliant. Now we're getting into the stupid question realms that's going to get on your tits here. So how much is an entry roughly for? Let's talk amateur. You're first starting off.
Yeah.
How much was it costing you?
I don't really, obviously your bikes, it depends on what sort of stand you want to put your bikes to and stuff like that. Like mine now, the engine's 5 to 6 grand just for a tuned engine.
Is that for like the top sort of in England, the top sort of standard?
If you want a top engine, you're talking 5-6 grand tuned out the box.
And how many rounds would that last now?
So I do 40 races and then it gets serviced, which I can do up to 5 races a night. So it doesn't last that long, It's
5 races a night.
Yeah,
proper highly tuned, then. Isn't it?
Yeah, and obviously they're revving really high the whole time of the race. So it doesn't last that long, And obviously oils and servicing, you keep on top of that. Your engines are going to last longer and what have you.
So your refreshes now, is that 5 grand as an engine block, like a full engine board? Now, how much would a refresh cost you then?
It depends, you get them from, 250 quid and they could go up. It depends what it needs, if it needs piston or what, or whether it's just rings and bottom end bearing and stuff like that.
Bloody hell.
It can vary.
Mm-hmm. So, even do you get your hands dirty and that sort of thing, even from an early age? Did you just jump on the spanners?
Yeah, definitely. I've washed my bikes and stuff and prepped them myself. There is lads that have full-time mechanics, and I do have friends that come and help me and what have you, but I always like to be doing that bit myself as well. Carb and a clutch on my bikes are prime things that need to be working spot on a race night, so I tend to like doing them myself, and I know they're right then. So yeah, I do a lot of it myself, and then I have lads that help me as well.
Ideal.
By the way, just a quick question: are you sponsored by an energy drink?
No.
It's just we've been given some. It's called Rich Energy.
Cool.
They've started sponsoring a couple of BSB teams. They've got a team in BSB, but you're welcome to have one if you want.
Cheers.
Don't give to pregnant women, people from Adelaide, anyone sensitive to caffeine, really. So that's you and me out the pen.
Yeah. So going back to the roots over in Australia, so speedway is purely just an amateur sport people do as like a weekend hobby type of thing. Is it not a case? Do they still get like a decent crowd and like sort of spectators and stuff? Yeah,
they still get reasonable crowds and what have you. Obviously, there's sort of more space in Australia, so the track areas are bigger and things like that. So they definitely get good crowds on them. And over here, you don't see it as much, but we have sidecars and things like that as well on the same nights on the same track. So obviously that draws in more crowd and stuff like that as well. Yeah. So whereas when you're over here, it's basically just the solo speedway bikes.
And when you decided to make the jump for your career for speedway to come over to the UK, obviously it's a massive commitment moving halfway across the world. Was it a case of, did you just sort of say goodbye to all your family and just move over here by yourself?
Do they even know you're here?
Yeah, that was it.
For tabs.
I finished school as soon as I could and went down an apprenticeship straight away.
Apprenticeship in what?
Cabinet maker. So as soon as I basically got signed off half a year early because the last year was just your time served, and there was an option out of certain ways that I could do 3.5 years. So as soon as that come, that literally fell in February, and yeah, literally I had my stuff, and that was me away in February because the race season sort of started in March time back then. They're getting a little bit later now, but yeah, I just packed everything up that I basically a suitcase and sent my bikes and stuff over in a crate, and that was it. That was me. Yeah.
How many people were fighting for that opportunity then? So like I always put an age to it, you know what I mean? So at 6 you went from that, you couldn't afford the motocross step, and then you stepped into the speedway. What age are we getting to here before you packed your bags? And
so I was 19 then.
19. So how many people in your age group or around you were like, was it like 20, 10? Was it?
It's hard to say. There's plenty of kids that want to come across and do it. But you've got to be at a kind of a level where you think, yeah, I can make it. It's no worth coming across if you think I'm not good enough yet. You need to be at a point where sort of come across, and obviously I'd seen it I'd done 2 months across here just to see what it was like and traveling around and things like that. And then the next year, that was when I was like, yep, I'm coming to do it. And it was sort of, it's do or die, really. You know, you're on the other side of the world, and
that's very enough for speedway, mine, do or die, because there is no runoff at all in this sport.
Yeah, you only live once, and you only will get like one opportunity to have a go. So no, that's mine. Now, again, going back to the fact we are clueless in speedway.
You go right, don't
in
you?
kind of road racing, like what we in kind of road racing and short circuit racing, it's very much you kind of go through the ranks, and you start off by, you know, you pay for literally everything, and then you can sort of pick up like small personal sponsors, and then but you get to make a living out of it, to be a professional, you have to be like right at the top, and it's almost you can't like just step straight into being a pro racer, if you like. At that point, when you were looking to come over, was it a case of, did you have to come over and prove yourself to become a professional, or was it straight into a job, if you like?
You're straight into a job, but you're paid by performance, obviously. So, you know, if you're not winning races or scoring points, obviously there's 4 riders in a race, and if you're fourth, you get nothing. Third, you get 1 point. Second, 2, and 1, you get 3. So you paid by the point. So it's down to performance on if you're going to earn or not, basically.
And let's talk about the cheddar. How much does 1 point get you?
It just depends, obviously, on your ability and clubs and things. You know, it ranges. Everyone's sort of different, and you know, some clubs have more money and what have you. So it's all different. Let's
get worst case scenario and best case scenario. Shitty club, really crap. You're going to get a $5 and a hand job around the corner. Or to race against Ty Wolf and British Two, being like, there's 20 grand for a 1 point kind of thing. Have you had a hand job around the corner? I saw you days over got me point, get it.
You probably, I mean, it depends, because obviously there's 7 riders in a team as well. So
7?
So you have 2 reserves, which they're obviously on your lower wage bracket of such, and then you have what you call second string. So your number 3, your number 2, and your 4 are second strings, and then you have your heat leaders, which is 1, 3, and 5. So that's how the races are worked out and drawn out and stuff to who you race against and what have you. So your wage, it obviously varies on your performance and what level you're at as well. It's hard to say a number because, like I say, everyone's different.
Just make them give us.
So your reserves you're probably talking, I don't know, maybe 30-40 quid a point at the minute. I'm not real sure. And your number ones in my league, they're probably 70-80 quid a point sort of thing. I'm in the middle league. Obviously, there's a top league, which at reserve in the top league you're like 90 quid a point, and then I don't know what the number ones would be in this country.
To get in one night though, what's the if you max all races, how many points is up for grabs?
So as a reserve, you can do 7 races, right. And me at between the 1 to 5 numbers, you can only do up to 5 races a night. Right. So you know, obviously. It varies on performance as well, sure. But obviously I can get a 15-point maximum, which would be me winning all my races, and then obviously the reserves could get 21.
And is it a case of is it your bike, and are you sort of in charge of maintenance and looking after it,
putting the slippers on the lot?
Yeah. It's down to me, everything basically. I mean, I get my back tire gets supplied each meeting through the clubs.
Do you have a particular flavour, like brand?
There's only one. They have like dedicated tires over here that we can use in our league, which I think is still Mitas.
What?
Mitas. Yeah, Mitas, yeah.
There you are, you see, we're learning all the time. I feel like there's going to be a test at the end of this. Yeah, that's it.
So, you know, it's not like you can say, oh, he's on a better tyre than me or what have you. You know,
which is good.
You run one tyre and that's it. There obviously are limitations to what you can do.
And in terms of, is there much choice in terms of the bike and the chassis and the engine and tuners and what's the sort of...
So there's now 3 engines on the market we can use. GM, which is what myself and a lot of riders use. There's Jawas, which are a little bit cheaper, probably really a little bit more unreliable. I think really they've not really made anywhere at the minute. They're still there. They still are around. And And then there was a engine called a Gerhard, which was one that has an oil filter in and was meant to last longer and things like that. They come out a year or two ago, I think, trying to get onto the market properly, and hasn't really got very far. But it was more to try and keep costs down for riders,
Another 500 singles.
Yeah.
So, bloody hell. Do you know, I once had a go of one years and years ago. I went down to Scunthorpe to Wayne Carter's got like a little, do you know Wayne?
Yeah.
He's got a little school there. So one of the teams I was riding for years ago in Stock 600 hired the thing to sort of help us with left-handers, but really it was a mega day out, and he gave us a go of that 500 or like a couple of laps of the big track, and the acceleration on them is when you're used to the bikes we ride, the acceleration on them things is just incredible. Like, it's unreal. What sort of horsepower are there?
Couldn't even tell you, to be honest. I try not really get into that too much, because then I find that I'd be wanting to do this and that to it all the time, whereas if I know less about them and what they're doing.
He's been interviewed far too many times before. He's like, if you get him back in the car and going up Wooler like that, gun, them two bellends trying to get all the information, trying to go.
Do you know, in a sort of like a 5-brake window, like nothing specific, roughly what sort of horsepower?
I couldn't even tell you. I'm sure they're like, let's say 65, 75. I would think.
Jesus, big power, like short stroke engines.
Yeah, definitely. And obviously, when you think power to rate ratio as well, there's not a lot of weight. They're like 75 kilos.
How much would a rolling chassis cost then? So $5,000 for an engine.
Yeah, so 5 to 6, and then probably 3.5 for a rolling chassis with decent equipment on it.
And that's the top British standard.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So it is a lot more. I mean, people would spend that on sort of. I mean, we know motocross lads that race sort of around the doors, and you can spend 10 grand on a motocross bike for like sort of club racing, really. So in terms of like, if you compared it to like the top in other categories, it's a lot more sort of affordable, really.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, though, the servicing times are a lot less than what you have on a motocrosser and things like that.
Sure.
Tire wear as well. It's the same. I do a tire a night. So
I was about to ask that question.
It's there is more expense that way. But when you look at the prices of what new motocross bike to buy out of the factory, even as a stock bike now, you're talking 8 to 10 grand pretty much, I think.
Do you know how much? What about fuel? What fuel? You see, all your speedway fans be chucking shit at you tell you now, going, they know now. But what fuel do you run?
We run methanol.
Methanol.
Yeah.
How much is that a litre then? Do not say you don't know. I'm gonna just start lying.
Yeah. I don't even know. That's the same thing. It's down to sponsorship. I've been sponsored the fuel for the last while, so I've never really had to buy it. That's obviously I own everything of mine pretty much. I have a sponsored engine through one of my sponsors that lent me when I had an issue a while ago, and I've still got that now as it works good for me, which will go back at the end once I'm finished with it. It'll go back to them.
Low mileage, never been ragged on it.
That's what the servicing's about, though. The outer shell might not be new, but the insides can be all brand new inside. So
bit of a triggers broom situation.
So a lot of it is everything's mine. I own it as such, and then the sponsorship side helps definitely. Trying to pick them up these days is a lot harder. Companies rather supply things, which is still a massive help. In saving on even just down to sprays and things like that.
Now, in terms of deciding which team you race for, when you first came over to the UK, where did you start off?
So I started in Edinburgh. That was.
So what was home temperature in Adelaide? When you got?
I would have left literally just near towards the end of summer. So you're talking high 30s, low 40s at the time, and
there's you with your thongs on and your shorts going right. Edinburgh. I've seen it on the telly. Mel Gibson. Everything's grand.
Got the bagpipes welcome.
Yeah, that's it. So come across and straight to Edinburgh, freezing my ass off.
So do you class yourself as a what's the word, like adopted Scot or adopted English, or are you on the border?
Yeah, I'm probably on the border. I've been here that long now, obviously the accent's starting to go a bit. But obviously eventually there is plans to go back when I'm finished racing. I'd love to move back and go back to Aussie and live there again.
Do you get back much in the off season
before COVID? All that crap.
I was actually meant to be there in February, and I had to cancel that for my sister's wedding. But I sort of try and go back every few years to see my family if I can. Obviously, I've got kids over here and stuff, so I need to.
How long have you been here?
Well, 2008 was my first year across, so it's a long time. I just go backwards and forwards.
Yeah.
At the start, I was just sort of staying in Aussie for basically most of the summer. and then come back February, March time. And then now it's just got less and less.
I tell you what, you must have had some homesickness. Or you're not bothered?
No, it didn't really bother me. It didn't really bother me too much. I knew what I wanted to do, and I was here to follow up my dream as such. So it didn't really affect me, which was good.
And Edinburgh's a midnight out, to be fair. So you know what I mean? It's actually straight in there. That's it. Adelaide accent straight at the girls. What's he even saying?
I bet you did well when you first came over, mind.
Yeah, no, it was good.
We'll just check the perimeter for the missus.
Obviously made a few mates up there and stuff, and that made it a lot easier as well. It wasn't like I was just, because I actually lived at a sponsor's house at the time, and obviously met a few people, and that then give us, I will go out at nights and things like that, because obviously I didn't work or anything, it was just racing, so I had quite a bit of downtime as well when I wasn't working on the bike, so it was good.
And from moving into Edinburgh, obviously right now you signed for Berwick, is that right? Have you always stayed in that area, or have you been around the...
So I've always lived up, like obviously I went from Edinburgh and then I moved towards Glasgow way for a little bit, and then down to where I am now. And then I've ridden for teams of Birmingham, Coventry, Redcar, and I rode for Glasgow as well for a while.
A fair now, like me and Chrissy keep reminding me that we know an but we hear like a lot of riders ride for multiple teams. Is that the case, or?
So obviously I'm in the what they now call Championship League.
How many leagues are there?
There's three. So
three, right.
So when I come across, it was National League, Premier League, and then Elite League. So like I say, the first year or two I was across, I did the National League and the Premier League. So I've done the bottom two leagues.
You're allowed to jump from league to league.
I'm lucky, I got British patriality, so I got a British passport. So you're only allowed to do the bottom league if you've got British patriality. Obviously, it's sort of a break-in sort of a league as such,
right?
To get into them, because I jumped to the next leagues are pretty big. And I was kind of lucky that I still done it right, and then the next division up. But if you had a bad night in the Premier League, and then you had another meeting the day after or a few days later in the National League, which was a lot easier. It sort of helped you get your confidence back a little bit, which was a great help. And for the last, I don't know how many, since probably 2010 odd, I've sort of done Elite and Premier League, so the middle and the top leagues, on and off.
Bloody hell.
Do you know, when it comes to the end of, let's say the race season, is it the same season as what we run, so till October?
Yeah.
When it comes to the end of October, let's say your contract's finished with the team that you're with, is it a case of, is there sort of bidding wars, or is it your responsibility to get in touch with other clubs, or do they, get in touch with you? How does the rider work? So
the clubs, they kind of own me as such. They have my own contract. They, as a rider asset to the club. So obviously first time I was with Edinburgh, and then I think it was Redcar then bought me off Edinburgh eventually when I got to there. And then Glasgow bought me, who still own me at the minute.
Do you have any choice in these situations?
Yeah, it's still down to...
wake up one day and a jersey get chucked at you, there you go, these lot now.
It's still down to myself a bit as well, but the clubs sometimes can have a little bit of say. When I made my jump from Redcar to Glasgow, which was just down to a money thing, they offered me a lot more money up there, and I felt like, staying in the same team sometimes, just gets repetitive kind of thing, and I wanted to change, so we went to Glasgow, and it took to, I think, near the end of February to get finalised, just because my Redcar club didn't want to let me go and what have you. So it can get a little bit tricky at times, but you still do have a bit of a say.
Bloody hell. And do you know, say riding in two championships at the same time, so say what you do now, Premier and Elite?
It's Premiership, which is the top, and Championship is the middle.
Right, and Championship. What is that, 2 races a week?
No, not. It can be up to 4 or 5 a week at times.
That's events, and then within those events, how many races? Sorry.
So I'm program 4 every night. Every rider's program 4 rides a night. But if you're one of the top 2 point scorers or top 3, you can make it into the final race. So I can do 5 a night. So even just now, I think looking at my fixtures, the likes of June, I have, what have I got? I've got Berwick on the Saturday, Leicester the Sunday. Tuesday I'm at Plymouth, Wednesday I'm at Poole, and then I have the Thursday, Friday off, and then I'm back to Berwick on the Saturday. And that's just in one league alone.
You must do a hell of a lot of travelling around the UK.
Yeah, the miles.
So you picked Wooler to live at.
Yeah.
The most out of the way part of Northumberland. So how many bikes have you got then?
I've got 2, 3 engines sitting there just now. There's been times when I've had 3 and 5 engines when I've been doing both leagues, because of that. Obviously, like I say, I'm doing like sort of 5 within 7 days coming up soon, pretty much, in June there. And then if something goes wrong or you break a bike and have a crash, it doesn't take much to bend them. You don't really have a lot of time to repair them or what have you. So it's sometimes easy to have a spare one sitting
You must be handy on a welder, because they're just aluminium tubing. Are they aluminium tubing?
They're steel, yeah, but
I didn't need them in that bloody sport.
Yeah. When they bend, there's people that do straighten their jigs and what have you.
Over the toe bar on the back of your van. Get on there, son.
Yeah, no, you do see people with ratchet straps and stuff at meetings trying to straighten them out and stuff like that.
And is it like you and a mechanic just sort of driving around in a van type of thing?
Yeah. So I have a
Don't
mechanic.
call his missus that.
Yeah, I have a mechanic. He's worked with me now for the last 5 years. He comes to pretty much every meeting. He runs a business with his dad, so he sometimes can't get away to every meeting. But majority of them he can, and sometimes he even take a half a day and come away. He's only at Cramlington, which is handy for me. So yeah, literally on a race night, I don't touch a bike. Pretty much he sorts everything for me.
And is it a case of do you stay out in like sort of hotels, or is it back of the van job, or?
So it's normally hotels. Previous years I have had bigger vans and I have had beds and stuff in them, and we have stayed in there the odd time. But a lot of the time, if you're away on a kind of call it a road trip, I guess, with the club, a lot of the time they'll put you in a hotel for you. Obviously knowing that you're going to be away. That's an expense that the club a lot of the time will cover.
Now, I actually very lucky. I was racing at East Fortune, and one of my mates, Stephen and Josh Watson, 2 mates there, sorry, quick maths, 2 mates, and they took me to Berwick. Yeah. And it's always late evening stuff, but I'll get into that bit anyway, but it was so impressive watching you lot go around, it really was. But is it always late evening speedway?
Yeah, a lot of it is. I think about 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, some of the clubs start. I think Scunthorpe and Newcastle, they're around a 3, 4 o'clock start normally.
And that's like practice, or is that race?
Just straight into the racing, that's all you get. There's no practicing before it or anything, you just straight in.
Right, 3 o'clock you turn up.
Yeah.
Off you go.
Yeah, you have a parade or what have you.
I suppose it is left, isn't it? So you don't have to exactly learn that. Like, it goes left, son.
Yeah. Yeah, so you just basically come and you're straight into it. You do a track walk and what have you to check the conditions.
Now, with you'll have the red flag system and medical situations, everything. So how long can the evening go on from? So let's say Newcastle, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, straight into the racing. How long could it go on for?
You're probably talking 2 hours, hour and a half, 2 hours sort of thing.
Right.
It's not massive, Obviously, there's 15 races in at night, and then normally after our meetings, they have some of the lads that are trying to come through in the sport, just learning, have their own little races at the end. So yeah, you're talking like an hour and a half, maybe 2.5 once they're done, sort of
in
thing.
In the travel lodge at the bar at 7 o'clock. Yeah. Well, this is a sport for me, Chrissy. I'm sucking in this road racing crap.
When I went down to watch, I think it was you were racing that night. I think it was Wolves. I think I can't remember. It was through Paul from NGK took us down, and I remember it felt very much like a sort of. No, have you been to the dog racing before?
Yeah.
And it's because it's the dog racing tracks around the outside of the inside, isn't it? And is it on Sky Sports or like one of the?
Yeah. They obviously each year sort of changed Euro, BT or Sky. They all one of them gets normally the deal.
It had a similar sort of feel with the sort of gambling side as well, because you can. Am I right in saying you can bet on the races? Yeah,
there is betting. Yeah, I don't know what leagues they do. I'm not into any of that stuff. But on the Grand Prix, like the world class rounds, you can definitely bet on that. Our other leagues now, I'm not too sure if you can, but you used to be able to.
Mm-hmm. It's just got that feeling, in it. Like, I don't know if it's just because it's the same location.
Yeah, I'm very surprised. They haven't bring that in. Especially the ones with the dog track station have like the tote things or whatever they call them there. Like before a race come out, there could be ways to make more money from that. Very surprised they haven't done that, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's got your pine peas and have you been to the dog racing before?
I've been to the dogs, but I was barely had any vision. I was pissed before I got there, like, so I can't really remember the ambionic feeling.
Sure, that was the dog race.
Do you know what we used to go at, when I was at,
I'm in a suit. Must be the dogs.
when I was at uni, we used to go the dog race, and for some reason when you were there watching it, the odds like at the track were totally different to the ones that were on the like Bet365 or whatever. So you could go on your phone and find the favourite on your like Bet365, and then it would be nowhere near the favourite at the track. Stick it on, and like I remember went and you had a free night out, pie peas, and come away with like 30 quid, and you're like, bloody hell, I would do that.
Yeah, it's a good night out. A stag do, I think, is the only time I've ever been to dog racing. That was actually at Brough Park at Newcastle, where the speedway is.
Right.
Are you any good at gambling, Chrissy?
No, I don't.
You're a master.
Out here,
that's it. We'll just keep it between ourselves here. Let's go to Vegas, count cards. You know what I mean?
That's
me and him are under distraction.
And now this is just a total side topic, but it just popped into my head. Me and Dom were somewhere the other day. We were speaking to a lad that he's into motocross and enduro, and he had a Yamaha, I think it was, and he had an app on his phone that you can
Scott Murray,
that you can Bluetooth you can Bluetooth your phone to the engine, and you can like
change the settings on them.
You can change literally everything, like mapping and
everyone knows this but us, mate. Like he just nodded. Where have you two
This
been?
is the first time. Like I've seen it on a laptop.
Yeah,
with road
plug and
racing,
play ones.
You plug in, but you need like a £400 lead and with the software and stuff. But like to have it all on your phone, and he was literally like saying like it just like blew my mind. Can you do that with speedway? Or?
No, there's nothing like that's it. Clutch and go, man. So, obviously, it's down just to engine tuning of what they're tuned like.
Do you not change much in terms of the geometry or the suspension or anything like that?
No, not really. Obviously, there's only a little shocker at the front on them. Just a little dampener.
On one side, is it over the top or to the side?
No, just on the side, just one. And then there's...
To the right or left? I'm being very technical, sorry.
Left. And then... Obviously, there's like two little rubber bands or band and a half. Just depends on what sort of shock you're running and things like that, and what setup, what feeling you like on there. Now I run Öhlins shocks on mine, which are you can obviously adjust them, but most of the other ones are just fixed in as they come, and that's it. You've got that, and you can alter your bike length a little bit. Obviously, you can. If it's grippy, you'd want to go longer just to try and spin a little bit easier, or if it's slick, then go shorter. And then obviously there's only really the rear sprocket you can change in the jet. That's it. It's it all varies. Obviously, different tracks are different sizes, different conditions. Temperature can change it as well.
I tell you what, as far as the sport's concerned, it must be the most tactical sport ever. Watching it, because when I went to Berwick, sitting to Stephen, he's going, well, there's team points. If you finish in a certain position, knock people off or do some, it's weird. But as far as mind games, it must be phenomenal. So imagine turning up the grid like that and you're just going, he's got a yellow rubber band. Like, is that a big part of it? Like, when you look at, you're looking at other people's bikes going, oh, he's a little bit different to me. And
not really, obviously it's...
You're more laid back than a deflated Lido. That's your problem. You're like, fuck it, I'm here for the money.
Obviously, they are very similar, obviously, on the setups. There's not loads you can change on the bike, the way it sits as such, to make you much better. It's more down to engines and rider talent.
Just touching on what Dom's just mentioned there about the sort of tactics and teamwork and stuff, just talk us through a night of like how that sort of works in terms of you're obviously wanting to maximise your points personally for the cheddar, but there's also like a team element. Explain how that works.
Is there a coach, like one person that orchestrates all this?
So you have obviously like your team manager there.
Right.
And they're in control of who goes in what race. At times, they have a tactical substitute. If you get so far behind, you can then throw in a rider for double the points and things like that. And same as obviously the reserves can step in to any race if someone's having a crap night in the 1 to 5, then a reserve can take their place and things. Obviously there is someone there controlling that, definitely. But going back to Chrissy, like when we get there, obviously we're there like 2 hours to an hour and a half before a meeting and unload the van and get the pit base set up and what have you. And then we normally, about an hour before the meeting starts, we go for a team track walk with all the riders and the team manager.
I think this is a left turn here.
How many different types of tracks are there? If you're like doing a track walk, there must be that many different services over the country, or are they all different?
Yeah, I mean, they're all different, really. You're never going to get two that are the same. obviously they all shape and vary with length and size, and also what materials on them at times, they're never all the same, and same as how they're prepped. Obviously it's dirt, so it's shale, so depending on how much track work's gone in and what they do to it affects how you ride.
And is it a case of like, if I said Newcastle, you would think, oh, that's a certain gearing, and there's a set gearing for each track,
definitely. Like obviously, most tracks you sort of know what you run, and like my mechanic, you'll write it in. We've got a little booklet and writes it in what setups we ran and what we scored and things like that. So at times you can, go back to that booklet and think, right, what do we do that night that worked really good and stuff like that. So you can.
Really stupid question. Do you change gear during the lap?
No, it's just fixed. It's only fixed one gear. That's it.
Clutch, throttle. That's it. Nothing. One.
I told you it would have been a stupid question.
It's brilliant. I'm actually really enjoying this. You're on my level for a change. This stupid question game.
Yeah. Just another side thing that we'll get to in a podcast a few podcasts down the line. But me and Dom were riding quad bikes the other day, and that you could change gear with a button going up and down, but you can't stall them. It was unreal.
I stalled mine. I wasn't going to tell you, but I'm useless. I can even stall them.
But sorry. So going back to the track. So is it a case? Is there like sort of ruts and sort of grippy bits and slippy bits?
Yeah, like obviously, like I was going back to how they prep them. Normally, a lot of the start gates they get ripped up, and then normally the outsides of the corners are ripped up as well. And then obviously they're packed in, but obviously they still can be soft and tacky.
Is that advantageous for grip?
Right. Yeah. So yeah, like obviously doing your track walk, you can then pre-see how they've set everything up and what sort of because obviously your jet can change things a little bit as well as to how the bike's going to react as well. Obviously there's no shock, so they do get little ruts in them, but nothing big through the night.
Let's talk about carb setup then. So pissing down Racin. And then that is a huge. How much needle change do you do from an absolute bone dry, dusty track to a bogging, soaking, biblically shite?
Normally you'd go like a bigger jet when it gets wetter. That's the way I'd go. But everyone's different to how their bikes react as well.
For our listeners that won't know that, because he won't know that. So what are you meaning by the jet change then? So why would you go up a jet?
Obviously the way the jets are, obviously you're either putting less fuel in or more fuel in the bike to make it react differently. But obviously with us, the visibility is fairly hard and there's not a lot of room. We've got no brakes or anything like that. So it's not that often that we ride when it gets too wet as such, you know what I mean? It can get to a point where the visibility, as soon as you get behind anyone, you can't see. So it's
fair weather riders.
Yeah.
Now for your for your own standout, like we talk about on the roads all the time, it's like you got your wet specialists and you got your dry specialists. Yeah. Where would you see yourself, or you laid back? I would have called it deflated Lilo. Like just give me a track, man.
Yeah. I'm just superb in every condition.
Yeah.
I ride for NGK. Call some mint.
Yeah. I don't really know. It's hard. That one, it's obviously you like them not dry, but just nice moisture in them, so they're not dusty. So when they're dry, they go slick and what have you. Whereas when there's that plenty of moisture still left in it, it stays tacky as well.
And you can't change tires. So you saying that? What was that?
Mitis.
I'm failing the test. Yeah. Is that literally one tread pattern for everyone in the game?
So you're all on the same tyre. They get given to you before the meeting, and then the mechanics fit them there. So obviously there's no way of tampering with them or anything like that either.
Is that a recent rule, or was that being an all-time rule kind of thing?
You've always got them. Years and years ago, you used to be able to
the tyre wall
thing. It's years ago you could supply your own, but then there was talks to people tampering them and things like making them softer and what have you. So eliminating that. The clubs then supply them at the track to you, and
which is good.
You put them there,
makes it fairer. Next stupid question. So obviously you've got the lineup, you've got 4 riders in a race. How does it? Do you choose which block you start on, or is it advantage to be on the inside or the outside, or how does that work?
It depends on how the track's working and also the gates. The 4 gates can work differently as to how they're producing on the night as such, but obviously there's a program and you're set to either gate 1, 2, 3 or 4, and that's the gate you're going to go in.
And is that randomly selected, or does the club choose that?
So yeah, they got a program and it's obviously selected out before you get there and everything like that.
So if one of the organisers doesn't like you and can't see a dick, put him on the outside.
No, they've got there's no way of them really changing. They've got this set way of how they do every meeting basically, and that's how it works.
Oh, very cool. And in terms of being an advantage, what's where if you could choose which one to start on, is it just track to track?
Personal preference.
Yeah, it's track to track, and like I say, gate 4 might be working on one night at one track, and you could go there next week, and gate 1 or 2 could be working better. So it's, they're never going to get the same consistency week in, week out. The weather changes over here so much. It's outdoors. So yeah, it's never the same week after week, basically, as to what will work for you.
How is it? There must be riders, because there's riders I line up against in races and go, oh my god, no. You know what I mean? You must. Do you have that? I bet, are you all like that?
Yeah, definitely.
Like this is. I know what he's gonna do here. Yeah. It's gonna be dirty.
There's definitely riders like that around. And you get that in every sport, I guess. And there is. Yeah.
What do you think other riders think of you? Like, as in, like, what do you think? Like, are you classed
glued to the dick? I fucking hate him.
Are you classed as like an aggressive rider, or are you classed as like quite a fair, clean?
Yeah, no, I would like to class myself as fair. Other people might see it different at times, but you'd have to ask someone else that, I guess. Really, yeah.
I was gonna bash the question you said about those riders that you line up against, and you think, oh no,
oh my
who's it for you?
Oh my god. No, he didn't race it this year. But you see, there's loads of riders. You remember the riders that you do trust. And there's just, oh my god, I'm trying to remember. Action Jackson. What's his name? That's his race name, Action Jackson. He's an absolute hand grenade of a rider. Yeah. He just pulls up the grid. There's foam coming out of his mouth, and he just come into the corner going, do I want to be behind him or in front of him? And you're like, Jesus, where? And thing is, he's meant to get a couple of beers down him. Yeah. He's a proper solid lad.
Yeah. When he gets the helmet on, he changes.
No, you're on the grid going, oh no. You pull up next to him going, oh no, I don't want to be here.
In terms of speedway sort of tactics, do you just want to take the lead, and is it best to like lead onto the last lap type of thing? Can you control the race from the front, or is there is there sort of tactics to be in the mid pack during the race so that you can
obviously you're getting the more points when you're on winning, but obviously with it being a team thing as well, you kind of need your teammate that you're in the race with to come either second or third with you, and obviously at times if you've got maybe sometimes a less experienced rider in front of you, and one of the away riders was behind you, you've got to try and shepherd them a little bit to try and help your own teammate through, so we can get as many points as we can.
So you're not just thinking of yourself.
No.
If you could say overtake another team but push them wide, so you could let your teammate through that type of thing.
Yeah. If you could do that, then you've got to try things like that at times. If you're helping your other rider out as well, it's not just yourself you've got to think about. You got another man to think about as well.
And is it, in terms of your team, is it are all the speedway teams like really close with each other and like all good mates and type thing, or is it?
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, I mean, it's be the same with you guys. You just get on with a lot of other riders as well outside your team as well.
You see, it's odd in road racing because it's almost like the first person you want to be is your teammate when in speedway.
Yeah, it's like the dividing Rossi wall, isn't it? There you go. No one wants
it's very rare in road racing where you would like try and like go out of your way to help your teammate, I think.
Yeah, no, you wouldn't
agree.
You wouldn't. Obviously, you're there for your own team. That's what you're there for. It doesn't matter if someone from the opposing team's your mate. In a way, he's not your mate when he's on the track as such.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's.
Is there many decent bust ups, or like, because the pit is really open as well, isn't it? It's not very like divided. Does it sort of happen very often where on track action gets taken to the pits and you need your boxing gloves?
Yeah. Not really. There is the odd occasion that it does happen, but it's not that often that it happens.
He's a total swerve in the conversation. This one, it's kind of my thing. But do you have people that pay to be on teams? Like in our sport, we it's horrible because there are so many people paying for rides, and it's just like people that can't afford. Like, is one of your teammates turned up outside? Jesus,
sounds a bit rattly.
You didn't have your bike in the back of the van, did you?
It's Mrs. Revenant going, get in the bloody van. Want to go home? But do you have people that paid to be a part of teams or anything like that?
No, it's obviously the clubs offer you the monies to what obviously. You have an average as well. Obviously, that's your performance to how many points you get in a night, and that's worked out your average and what have you. So, you don't pay into the team,
which is, in my opinion, really good because you're putting the show on. You're the entertainment. You're risking it all, aren't you? So.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, that's down to the riders to agree the terms of their contract with the club. as to what they're earning and what other stuff they get with it. It's not like the super bikes and things are where you sometimes have to pay into a team.
You need a rich mum and dad again.
Yeah.
Still.
Yeah, obviously you've got the bike layout and stuff still, but
Do you know?
Yes.
Do you know, like for example, if me and Dom wanted to race speedway, what's the sort of entry into it?
It's like the Freemasons you lot. Like every time I chat, honestly, like secret handshakes and like that going around based on like.
Is there such thing as like a club race speedway?
not club race, but like I say, after a lot of our meetings, there's lads that are like the sport and they've got bikes and things that will come on and just do little races after the meeting and stuff like that. Obviously they're not at a level to be in racing as such. So they'll obviously need their license and stuff, but I don't think it really costs them at that night to run. They may have to pay a little bit for insurance purposes wise, but that's it.
So if me and Dom got a Chasin the Racing speedway bike, we could turn up at a meeting and do an amateur race at the end.
If you had the license and stuff, yeah, definitely.
I've got it. I've got mine. I've I'll step in for you. You won't get any money out of it.
Yeah.
This get your negative points, son.
Do you know what? A bent bike at the end of it and all.
Cheers, mate.
They should have said that when I applied for my ACU license, do you know how you can? I usually only tick the road racing, but I thought I literally just went down and ticked everything, and it came through. It's exactly the same price.
Yeah.
So I thought I may as well put everything on, and then if I ever fancy doing an
Motocross
enduro
or whatever,
it's all on there. So
He's saying that. You'll be leading the British Championship going, I'm not stepping out the front door unless it's on a track. I'm not knacking anything.
Yeah.
But actually, we Billy Bolt, you ever heard of her?
Yeah.
No, me and it, well, not stupidly, I'm really up for it, but we've set each other a speedway challenge. Now, bearing in mind, Billy Bolt can actually ride a motorcycle, any motorcycle at the CCI level, but he's never done speedway, but he's a big fan of it. And we've set this challenge to who can ever do the fastest lap. So, my next question to you is, what training do you do if you're not on a speedway bike?
Obviously fitness, you just...
Yeah, that's shite.
Nothing, I broke my foot in 2019, and that put me off for a while, and then last year, obviously, the whole COVID thing hit, but I'd done a benevolent fund meeting in the middle of March, and I hadn't even practiced leading up to that, I just built bikes together and away we went straight into a meeting. After a race or two, I felt back to my normal again. It didn't take me much.
Still smokes everyone.
Yeah.
So, was that COVID a benefit with your injury? How bad was your injury?
I've got plates and screws all in my foot now.
You metal shoe, man. You're halfway. Is it which?
No, it's the wrong foot. So I've got two. Yeah. So obviously we done that, and then that was on a Sunday, like 15th or 16th of March, and then on the Tuesday they just put a halt to everything. And luckily I hadn't built anything new stuff. I just used one of my bikes from the previous year to do that meeting.
Yeah.
And that was it. And then they were humming and hawing whether it was going to start or not start. And they changed our track at Berwick. They made it a little bit wider, so we done a few practice nights up there. And yeah, felt fine, I was ready to go again, and then we just end up stopping.
Speaking of the Billy Bold thing, so because Billy was on the podcast about 4 episodes ago, and we ended up talking about you because we were basically speaking about Speedway, and they were both saying they wanted to go, and Dom offered Billy £100.
No.
Fastest.
It started off as a fiver.
No, it's £100 bet who's going to be fastest, right? And you're the only Speedway person I know, so I was like, I'll speak to Aaron, see if we can orchestrate something. Is it possible? Is there like a practice track that we could maybe go to?
Yeah. So I've already spoken to Billy about this. Probably previously what you had spoken about, and so done a bit of deal. I've already spoken to Billy and said, we'll get him on. Obviously, last year was a bit hard with the COVID stuff, and obviously Billy had a lot on as well. So it's the same as yourself. You don't want to go out on a speedway bike and end up injuring yourself, and you're in the middle of a season.
Hope for that.
So it's kind of been hard to try and organise things. But we've got a training track up at Duns that I help out run. So literally is probably within the next month or two, these are on, and I'm going to get Chrissy on a bike as well. So we'll get all 3 of these up and
get the GoPros on. That'll be such a good video. That'd be so sick.
It's only small, don't get me wrong, the track is small. It's a training track. It's to learn your craft on them a lot of the time. But I mean, I can go around and ride there as well, just to bed changing and things before race seasons and what have you. But that's definitely a place we'll go. We've got one. We'll put these on the little ones first, 125s. You can have a crack on them and see what they're like. And
There's
then
£100 on this. I'll be. Do I look like I can afford £100?
Yeah, we'll throw you on one of my bikes and see how you get on there.
Oh,
That's why I'm asking about the mind games and stuff like that. Billy, you got the wrong band on there, son.
Yeah.
You need that yellow one.
No, so we just touched upon breaking your foot in 2019, and this year just gone 2020, there was pretty much no speedway racing at all for the full year, was there?
No.
It was unfortunately one of those sports that was really affected by COVID. So in terms of all the professional speedway riders that sort of do it for a living, you know, was it just a case, did they have to get other jobs doing other things, or
you know, obviously the professionals, probably like the top guys in the world class, they haven't like enough money sort of that they could have lived off of that. Like myself, you know, I worked through the last year and this year as well, and the same with a lot of riders. You know, you can't live without not earning any money, so they'll have gone and got
was
jobs.
it just in this country, or was the racing stopped in Scandinavia and everywhere?
Well, it's pretty much all stopped everywhere for a while, but Poland did run a bit last year. So yeah, you know, but obviously once riders went across, they had to stay there, and they had to, I think, to start off with, it was like a 6-week quarantine or something like that they had to do when they got there. So riders did still go across and do stuff in Poland, but I think that was the only one that really done.
It's a huge sport in Poland, isn't it? Have you ever raced out there?
Yeah, I done that about 2 or 3 years ago. I think I rode across there for Krakow. So I was basically doing Berwick on the Saturday. And then I'd go straight to Stansted and race in Poland on the Sunday. So yeah, it is a pretty hectic, especially them top guys that race all over.
What sort of crowds out there?
They weren't very good at most of the places that I'd gone over there because it was one of the lower leagues. But the top leagues, you're talking tens of thousands that go and watch. It's quite high.
So, quick question: how much, in theory, does Rossi and Marquez earn? It's MotoGP rock stars.
I think Mark has signed a 4-year contract for like 100 million from Honda, and then plus sponsors. So,
Right, so
I don't know, something ridiculous.
that's 100 million. So like people like Ty Wofford, that's the only name that really stands out for me.
Yeah.
Like the Ty Wofford. How much would he ever get? This is all guessing. We're just like, how much could he earn? Do you think?
I mean,
Just in a wage.
Even in Poland, you know, them guys are probably, I would say, maybe 300-400 quid, like pound a point. Possibly, I don't know. I don't know.
It's a good night's work, though, isn't it?
No one really knows what each of us on as such.
No one really does until you talk about like the rock star wages kind of thing, and it ends up on Forbes magazine.
Yeah.
But,
so I don't really know 100%, but that would be a guess, you know. And so that can be that's massive over there.
Is it a case of a lot of the top riders go over there to make good money?
Yeah.
Because it's a bigger sport over there.
Yeah, and now Poland sort of they've stopped it now, so I think they can only ride for like I think maybe two other teams as such. So because obviously there's racing in Denmark, Sweden, and the UK as well. So before they didn't really have a hold on anything like that, but I think for this year you can only ride in like 2 other leagues, what they call it. So obviously if someone over here was doing the middle division and the top division, they could only like ride in Poland as well. That's all they could do. They couldn't go ride in Sweden or any Denmark meetings either.
Stop trying to make it clear up the money kind of thing.
They're trying to just protect their riders a little bit more. Good. You know, obviously they're paying them big money, but it's also obviously affecting people of speedway over here because then riders aren't coming here because the money isn't that great compared to what they can earn abroad.
It's a hell of a lifestyle, man. Like traveling around, especially if you're racing in like 2 championships over here and in Poland and doing all that flying and stuff. In terms of like jet lag, and you know, you must pretty much live out the back of a suitcase type of thing.
Yeah. Well, even just when I was obviously racing here in the 2 leagues, and then I was doing Poland as well. Like I said, finished Berwick on a Saturday, and then you got the 5.5-hour journey to Stansted.
Do you sit down with your wife at the beginning of the year and go, right,
I'm not going to be here. I'll see you next week in like a few months.
That's it. Yeah, but like, how much notice do you get? Is it like, say, right, February, I know what the calendars are, and you literally go bang, 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 bang.
Yeah, so the fixture list obviously come out. We had one a few weeks ago come out. And then obviously with the announcement, taking it back till sort of later May till crowds could, because that's obviously how it paid is through the crowd entries and that as well. Everything changed again, and that only come out earlier on in the week. I got that re-advised list as to what I'd done. So obviously I don't start till 22nd of May. I start now. So yeah, obviously you've got a little bit of time to, you know, plan everything, and a lot of the guys doing Poland stuff, they'll know what sort of fixtures they have, and a lot of them, to try and save money, will like book a block of flights like so many months in advance to try and save money.
Yeah.
Because obviously when you book them later, it's costing more.
Fortune, yeah. Have you ever been over to Krakow or Poland?
Nah. Drank the vodka.
It's a real cool place. I went to Auschwitz years and years ago, and I had a little bit of time in Krakow. I remember, this was going back so long ago, but at the time, do you know McDonald's have like a 99 pence menu, like the saver menu?
Mate, I live off it.
Yeah. When you converted it to pounds and did the conversion when I was in Poland, it was the equivalent of 38 pence.
Yeah.
And you were literally going out. We were going out for like 3-course meals, and it was like £5.60, like an English money.
Yeah, it's way cheaper. Hot dogs, the Polish hot dogs over there, you get in the services, they're good. They're about a quid. You know, so when you're on the road and you get in.
You two walking around Krakow with your shoulders back. Hey, big spender.
Well, if you think about it, because with the buying power of money being so much larger over there and getting paid more, like in real terms, speedway riders
we are 2 minutes off Brexit chat here, aren't we?
No, but in real terms, the speedway riders are like coining it in, like.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and obviously the speedway over there is like what football is here, basically.
Yeah,
that's how you could revert it to. That's how it is.
Would you know, when you were racing over there, was it a case in terms of fame? Would you get like sort of recognised in like?
Probably not for me as such, but definitely obviously Ty and all them kinds of guys. Yeah,
like sort of heroes.
Yeah, for sure. You know, obviously a lot of them are on banners and things around the towns and what have you. So they are all recognised a lot.
Yeah, and this might be quite a difficult question to answer, but do you know if you ranked all of the speedway riders that race in the UK, so from all the leagues?
Yeah.
Roughly ballpark figure, where do you sort of see yourself fit in there?
Probably in the I wish. Probably in the middle somewhere. You know, it's hard. Obviously, I don't ever race the British Championship, which I could if I wanted to.
What stops you?
Yeah, what's
just obviously if I was to ever go back to Aussie or whatever, I wanted to represent Australia. I still could, but obviously you have to have like, I think it's like a 2-year break or something like that. There is an Aussie lad he's got British patriotic and he started to do the British Championship. So there was a bit of controversy about him coming into it, but yeah, he's doing pretty good out of it.
So can you represent Australia in anything?
Yeah, I can. Yeah, obviously because that's where I'm from. But yeah, if I really wanted to, I could probably represent GB as well if I started to do the British Championships and stuff. But yeah, that's how it all works.
When you say middle of the road, are you in? I really don't know where you mean, like sort of top 10, top 50, top 100.
So yeah, I don't know. It's hard.
Blow your own horn a little bit. Go on, just smoke it up there.
Wouldn't even have a clue. Obviously, I think there's like maybe 20 riders in the British final or something like that. And then, but you know, most of the guys that are in that, like I race against, you know, and do pretty well against. So it's really hard to say unless I was doing the British final, then I could sort of probably judge more as to where I'd be.
Fair enough, yeah. Very modest of you.
Yeah.
There we are.
Now, in terms, you mentioned smashing your feet, and in the usual speedway calendar, with the way you make a living, and obviously with all the races being packed in, I presume riding with injuries is like quite a common thing for speedway riders. What's the like sort of maddest injury that you've raced with?
So I'd done my ribs. I'd crashed in Germany. I think that was like I think I'd been over there for an under 21 meeting. And I had a big crash the day before, and like I knew something wasn't right. I was sticking out, and like I could barely move without pain. I literally flew in and rode at Reading the next day. You just kind of got to get on with it. Like you say, it's your wage. And I was lucky. I think after that meeting, I had a week or week and a half off, and so let it heal up again a little bit. And then same with collarbone. Like Have you
done both of them?
No, collarbone. I had took 3 weeks off for my collarbone, which it was tender when I got like back into the racing. Like, obviously after doing the 4 races flat out, you know, I couldn't. I'd done my left one, and so trying to pull the clutch in at the end, it was pretty sore. So I just literally pull it in right before I got to my mechanic, and he basically had to grab it and get off the bike then, sort of thing. Yeah, it's just something you get on with, really. You're a lad. You know, you're a bike racer. It's what you do.
So, one of my final questions is going to be, which is your favourite track then?
Favourite track? You know, Glasgow, definitely. I really liked that. Same as Redcar. They're all a similar shape. I've done well at both of them. Obviously, I like Berwick. You wouldn't go to a track that you didn't like and make that your home track as such.
Right.
I mean, you could, if it wasn't one that you didn't really do well on, you think, I'm going to take a punt this year and sign for that club if they wanted me, and then you learn your craft around there. But yeah, there's several. I don't have one dedicated track where I think, that's my one.
It's a funny place, Berwick, because they all speak with strong Scottish accents, but it is actually in England. Like, it's south of the border, so it's one of the, like, I always stop.
Far out of the border. I wouldn't say that up there.
2 miles.
I always stop at the McDonald's just off the A1 at where the Morrisons is.
Are you on commission for McDonald's this episode or something like that?
And it's funny because they always like real Scott. Is it Scotch?
Can you do a Scottish accent?
Three chaps, three fash and a couple of chaps.
That's Irish. That sounds more Irish.
I kind of knew. I don't know.
Oh, we're really veering off here. I love it.
Now, I just need to mention. Do you follow any road racing? Like, do you watch any of the BSB or MotoGP or anything?
No, I don't really watch it. The only time I've ever watched is when I've come through Paul NGK or whatever.
Yeah. You need to get yourself down to a BSB or the TT.
Yeah, definitely. So I've gone previous years. Knockhill was sort of the closest for the BSB stuff. So I've been up there a few times. Like to watch Dan Linfoot when he was in with Build Base. I was sponsored by Build Base and had a day up there and what have you. But the TT is definitely somewhere that I've got planned to go.
Have you ever fancied having a bash on the tarmac?
Yeah, definitely. I'd have a go. For sure.
We've got pit bikes. You can have a go on. So there you go.
I've got plenty of them laying around. I definitely. It's something I'd always give a shot.
Have you had to go on like a supermoto pit bike?
No.
I will have to. Well, I tell you what, we'll do a switch. Yeah. So if you do a speedway day for us, then you can come to like Teesside or something. And we're going to have a day. I'm in the process of trying to get my. I've got a KX 450, and I've had the suspension converted for flat track, and I've ordered some flat track wheels. So when we do that speedway day, I'll bring that up.
I think one of the lads, we've got a flat tracker sitting around somewhere up my way. That's sort of a couple of speedway lads in our team sort of normally use at times. So yeah, definitely we'll have a go.
Now, speaking of road racing, I don't know if either of you seen, but the Daytona 200's just been on it. This podcast goes out like a week after we recorded, so it'll be a little bit out of date. But
we're in the future.
The lad who won so there's a big race over in America, Daytona 200. Michael Dunlop went over. He finished 11th, which is decent.
Hold on, it was 9th at first. I saw on an article. 11th, I didn't watch it. No. At first, someone actually announced him at 9th.
Did not qualify 9th, maybe. He definitely finished.
He qualified lower down than that.
Did he?
Well,
anyway,
he's gonna fall asleep in a minute. Road racing.
The lad who won it, Brandon Pash, he won the British Motorstar Championship a few years ago. American lad. He's been racing AMA and Moto America, and he's coming over to race in British Supersport with the Dynavol Triumph team with Kyle Smith. Well, he won it, and I never realised, but there's huge prize fund. There's
you're gonna drop your speedway bike in a heartbeat when you hear this prize fund.
I think there was I can't remember the total amount, but I know the winner got $25,000 for the race plus a
Let's
Rolex.
go. When's our ticket?
It was plus a Rolex. I think it's called a Cosmograph Daytona, and I googled it, and they're like over 25 grand these watches. So as a prize fund for like.
By the way, this is one event. Every other road race does not get that money.
I'm just going to do one a year. It's fine, man.
But
here comes the newcomer. Shit hot on them lefts.
that would been a good payday from anyway. It'll probably pay for a super sport ride this full year. So well done to
every
Brian.
BSB rider's got to turn up and just be like that. Going, I need the money.
I know. Good on him. And I think I didn't realize. Like I said, I didn't even realize that there was such a thing and like massive prize fund like that. I would love to do that myself.
I was about to say a plug. Let's stare into the cameras here. If anyone would like to take us to Daytona, that would be fantastic.
We'll for next year. Is Speedway big in America?
They do Speedway. I don't know.
Greg Hancock.
Yeah, that's
second name.
You're learning, man. You know a bit more than you're telling me. Obviously, Greg's a massive name in America. A lot of their tracks that I've seen are a lot smaller. I think Paris Speedway is one of them that they do around. And sometimes they do like a thing. I think it's really winter time here where some of the Brits go across there and have a shot over there as well. But yeah, there's not that many American riders anymore.
What would your dream circuit, your dream event, if you could pick one, where would you go?
Obviously, I've never been to any probably obviously Cardiff has the world stage of one of the world rounds over here.
Okay.
Obviously I've been to plenty of them, but I'd definitely love to go to one.
Is that competing?
Yeah,
No.
definitely love to compete if I was at that level, but even just going to watch it, and the atmosphere over there is massive.
That's at the Millennium Stadium in Cardiff, isn't it?
Yeah.
See, in BSB, for like me, I can't afford to do the championship, but I can do like a wild card.
Mm-hmm.
Are those opportunities available at like?
So going back to the British final, basically if you win that, you then get a wild card into the Cardiff Grand Prix.
Right.
So that's obviously riders get into it that way.
So Paul Whitley pulls his finger out, chucks you a load of cheddar. We're laughing. We're all going to Cardiff, boys. We're all going to Cardiff.
Yeah, we'll see what's on this year. We'll go for a watch for sure.
Ideal.
Fantastic. So when does your season get underway?
22nd of May we kick off for us. So there's talks of us starting to practice probably in 2 weeks' time or something like that maybe. I'm not sure if I'll quite start that early. I'll probably start 2 weeks or something before the season kicks off.
Are you fully fit now and ready to go?
Yeah, absolutely fine.
Itching to get out.
Yeah. Last year, my kids still done their pit bike racing and stuff, so I went down to them events and had a ride as well in some of the races. So yeah, definitely have no issues about my foot or anything like that.
Absolutely ideal, man. So how do people keep in touch with you then? What's your social media links? Chuck them out there, son. Plug away.
So Instagram is Aaron Summers 88. And my
That was
Facebook
88 for us English people there.
yeah 88 yeah, and Facebook is just Aaron Spud Summers, I think it comes under. That's how you can find me on there if you want to.
And that's double A, one R.
Double A-R-O-N, yeah.
I always get confused between Aaron and Aaron and the spellings. I can never get it. We've got a few, just a couple of quick questions from our patrons. One from Tony Rules asks, of all the forms of motorsport, why choose one that doesn't have brakes? And he's also said, Speedway crowds seem to be decreasing. What can be done in the sport to up the numbers?
So, with no brakes, it's just one of them things, I guess. Obviously, there's no option to have brakes. Well, they could come in handy at times, especially when I broke my foot, I wouldn't have hit that fence. So, brakes would come in handy at times. But that's just one of them things.
Why aren't you allowed?
Because it's a man sport.
On safety grounds, why aren't you allowed brakes?
I don't know.
I don't think it would be
I
as
don't know what they
appealing.
class it as. Yes.
No,
It just doesn't. It
It'd just
doesn't
be
seem
like riding a dirt bike.
It just doesn't seem to
be like riding flat track, wouldn't it? You've got brakes.
But it's the danger element. Like for me, it's like Speedway is so.
Yeah.
I love it. I absolutely love it because it's like them nutters on 500 singles with no brakes, and it's just like mint.
Would you be able to lap? Would you be able to lap faster if you had a brake? You wouldn't use it anyway, surely, would you?
Good question.
Yeah, no, you probably wouldn't really. I don't think you'd get quicker. It'd probably slow you down, if anything. Yeah,
So
because
purely on safety grounds, I don't understand why you don't have an emergency brake.
What about tactics? Wait, surely if you can dive bomb someone, slow it down even harder, and then drive off.
you can still dive bomb someone now, but you might wipe them out in the process. I don't really know that answer. It's
bit of
it's just the way it
Wikipedia
is. Yeah, I guess it would take the edge off of it as such. You know what I mean? If you had a brake, then
Make it too
there's more
safe.
safety to it, isn't it?
Good question, Tony. Thank you very much, mate.
And then we've got one.
Tony got me a birthday present after next episode. No, Tony, thank you so much. It's mint. You'll have to watch the next one after that. I'm going to get it framed. That's the only hint.
You're not saying it now?
No, it's a tease. That is a full-on tease. It's brilliant.
And we've got
Tony, you're the man.
Last one, Sniffing Skid Marks. He's asked a few things. What's the two most different speedway tracks you've raced at?
Two most different. Probably like doing the Polish stuff. Obviously, the surfaces are different. They're a lot bigger over there as well to most of them over here.
Same
Material's a little bit different, same kind of a shape. Obviously each shape can change that little bit, but not much more. A lot of them are more oval. The material's kind of more sandy and stuff over there than what it is over here. But yeah.
And he's also said, what's your thoughts of Crump going to the championship, and what chances Plymouth have in what is quite an audacious jump and team from the NL? Now, Sniffing Skid Marks Will clearly knows his shit.
Will travels the world on a boat, so he follows every motorsport going.
Seth, you probably know Seth Crump's come in. Obviously, that's Jason's son. He's come into the Superbikes over here now, and they were in Aussie and they come across. And obviously, Jason, he's world champion previously. And he's, he kept up racing in Aussie and what have you at meetings. And obviously with Seth being over here, he's obviously seen a chance again to come back and, obviously not quite the level he was, but racing British Speedway.
Is the championship the third series down?
Like the middle one, same as what Berwick's in,
Right, okay.
which Plymouth years ago used to be in the same league.
So you'll be competing against him.
Yeah.
And I take it he's probably one of your heroes.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, obviously growing up, he's Australian and he was doing so well. So racing against him will be cool. But like I say, he's not lost his talent either. He does still have it.
Is he kind of like a veteran of the sport?
Yeah, for sure. And obviously with what he's done and who he is, he'll definitely bring the crowds in more to the Speedway as well. People knowing he's back and what have you. Going down to their team, that they're bringing two pretty big top hitters, bringing him in and another ex-Grand Prix rider as well. That they're going to rely on them a lot, I think, for their team.
Right. Have they has Plymouth just stepped up to the championship?
Yeah, so they went down to the bottom division for a while, and then they've now come back up to...
And then brought two big hitters in?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Yeah, so.
Good question, Mark.
Tactics.
I'm glad we've got some patrons that are in the Speedway, otherwise our questions is like,
where's the track round?
Yeah. But anyway...
do that in a Scottish accent, I do.
No, I can't.
Shite bag.
Now, thanks so much for your time. I know your pure missus is going to
be sitting in that van screaming at us.
But I really appreciate you coming on the show, and best of luck for the Speedway. We'll definitely get this thing sorted and get it on. We'll get that on YouTube. And if you ever want to come to any BSB rounds, or I'm sure when the road racing's back on, we'll sort you some tickets and
cool.
show you some proper
Speedway,
racing.
We'll get you up there and all. So
mega mate,
yeah, we'll sort it all out.
Pie and peas and stick a couple of bets on.
Yeah.
Living the dream.
Thanks so much, mate. Take care.
Cool. Cheers, guys.
Big, as usual, big thanks to our patrons and our sponsor, Colchester Kawasaki. Thanks.
Nicely done.
Thanks, everyone. See you.
Click, buy, deliver. With remote purchasing from the two-time Motorcycle News Dealer of the Year, Colchester Kawasaki. Proud sponsors of Chasin the Racin.